I'm going to get started. So hello, everybody. Thanks for joining this webinar. We're going to be explaining what we do and how we help colleges create meaningful micro-engagements within high schools about your programs and information at the point in time when they're being supported by the schools and their teachers to explore their college options and start making decisions about it. My name is Lee, and as a quick introduction, when I was in high school, I was a wannabe football player / paleontologist. Instead, I ended up in the command line for the Navy, hunted submarines, managed a locomotive facility, built a digital out-of-home network in Western Canada, and now I'm the founder and CEO of EdTech ChatterHigh. So life was a bit of a surprise. And I've learned over the years that the most critical competency a student can acquire while at any level of education is to become adaptable. In other words, to learn how to learn. We at ChatterHigh live and breathe college and career exploration because when it's done well, according to the research on vocational identity and hope theory, it is the best strategy to get a student engaged in school and the biggest predictor of their success. We are a Canadian company. This is used in schools from coast to coast. We were the EdTech of the Year in 2017 in Canada. That was the same year we incorporated in the US. We've grown fairly quickly through the Midwest and Texas, and we're beginning now to take root on each coast. Last month, we were named an EdTech Awards Cool Tool finalist for college and career exploration tools. And this month, we're testing a new version of our product in China called Future You. We are a college and career exploration learning resource. It gets used in the classrooms, and it provides colleges with a completely unique way to engage with students. And I'm sure for each of your respective colleges, you have a mandate to not just recruit students, but ideally find students who don't drop out in first year and who persist to graduation. And they're ready for the future of work, and we help with that. One ACRO consultant and a former VP of students at a university in Canada said that ChatterHigh gives us a communication channel with students for years before they arrive. Not only can we educate them about the programs we offer so they can make a better choice, but we can tell them how to succeed when they get here. So my life prior to ChatterHigh was in marketing and advertising. The college and the university in my hometown were customers of mine, promoting their programs on our network of screens across Western Canada so that teens could discover what they offer. It didn't work very well to reach that demographic, and so I had lunch with the director of marketing and recruiting from the college, and I said, David, you guys have 160 programs at this college. That's a lot of programs. I don't know if I could name 10 of them, but how does Billy, the 10th grader, find out what you offer? And he told me that to actually get information into the high school, he sends posters and brochures or books that show up in the guidance office. They drive around and present in the schools, or they get booths at the career fairs. And of course, I thought, like, that's what we did back in the 1980s. And I don't think it worked that well back then. For teens today, quite frankly, if it doesn't get between their nose and their phone, it doesn't exist. And we need a digital interface to do this, and that is curated and appropriate for the classroom. At that same time, I was also a guest presenter in the college and at local high schools for marketing. I realized that while many students seemed disengaged in the college and career readiness curriculum, these same students would shave their hair off for a good cause. They would paint rocks to compete with another school. There is nothing wrong with their ability to get engaged. They just need to be led there. And I wanted to create something that created that kind of fervor and engagement, but using college and career exploration as the main activity. ChatterHigh was the solution. We made it fun for students from grades 6 to 12 to explore college, career, and labor market information. To make it fun, we gamified the activity, running competition like America's Most Informed School, where schools raise funds based on how much they explore. Students can use the points that they earn during their daily activity to enter draws to win prizes for themselves, or they can donate them to charity, which we convert to cash to make actual donations to build classrooms around the world. And this helps get students hyper motivated to explore their options. The activity gets integrated into CTE, AVID, computer classes, and college and career readiness curricula. This year, we had students from over 500 schools in the US and 600 schools in Canada explore nearly 3 million college and career web pages. Our activity produces 10 informative multiple choice questions every day of the year for each user. Teachers will use this activity as a bell exercise to start those classes. For example, if there are 25 in the classes, every student will get different questions. Each question is informative and has a link to the exact web page where the answer is found. Students will visit that target URL with a mission focus to find the information that you guys want them to discover. In order to ensure our site had enough diversity to be used as a classroom resource, we spent 3 years writing 2 to 3 questions for every college that isn't a private or for-profit. We ensured balance of exposure across the programs of study and occupational topics. If you wish to participate in this, for example, if you have information about programs, clubs, teams, how to succeed, co-ops, financial aid, anything, you can provide questions as well, building deep, meaningful engagement with information you want students to know. You can target where these questions appear down to the school district. You can also target by user type, opting, for example, to target parents, teachers, international students, and so on with your questions. Parents and teachers do quiz because it can help their school raise funds during the competition. Our paying customers are telling us that what we're doing is unique and useful. And you can see some examples here of feedback from Canadian institutions. We have about 50 universities across Canada that have worked with us over the last number of years. We have extremely low churn with our partners at the post-secondary level. So to take a look at the activity itself, I did a quiz myself as a student in New Jersey yesterday, and I took some screenshots for you so you can see. So remember, we have questions that we have written for every public and nonprofit institution in the United States, which will appear. And if we have paying partners, like we have a few that you'll see here in a second, they'll mix in with the experience for the student. So this first question comes from Winston-Salem State University, and this question is focused on music and performing on the stage. And so there's an informative question there, 4 answer options, a research button. So as the student or parent or teacher, I click the research button. It will take me to that specific URL in the college website, and now I have to look at this page to find the answer, and that's where the engagement happens. This is not an ad that they see on the side of their peripheral or driving by them on the side of a bus or on a subway. They actually have their brain focused trying to find this information, which makes this a very unique quality moment to engage with that student. And they're in your website, so they're going to see your branding and the other information. They look for the answer, and they come back and they answer the question. They earn points for that. Right after the question, we survey them on their awareness and interest in your brand and in the program that you've exposed them to. And it's a 4-point Likert scale for their interest. And then we move on to the next question. The next question that I got is from one of our newest partners that we're featuring right now, the New Jersey City University. And this is a question that they wrote. So in this case, they focused on health sciences. You click the research button. It takes you to their target URL. I'm reading this to find the answer. I come back, I answer it, I get my points, and then I quickly get surveyed on my awareness and interest in New Jersey City University and in the program. Questions don't have to be about programs. They could be about your institution in general, like the diversity here at University of Chicago. Go into this specific page, discover that information, and move on. A question like that will not get a survey because it's not related to a program or a job. Vanderbilt, question around the social sciences. Take them into the web page. In this case, they wanted them to see how, they have these features on the site that help you decide things. So they wanted to draw the students' attention into this feature so they would learn how to use that widget on the website and get surveyed. New College of Florida is a new customer of ours who just joined us a few weeks ago, writing a question about some of the requirements that you must do in order to graduate from that college. In this case, how many independent study projects do you need to do? So it takes you into that webpage, you find the answer, you come back. I got a second question from New Jersey State University about chemistry. Into their webpage and back. And sometimes you have programs that are really lesser known, or you're trying to shine a spotlight on something. Here's a question from Notre Dame College about their Center of Intelligence Studies, which is relatively unique, building awareness of something that students may not have realized even existed. Brown University, focusing on team sports for this particular question. So you have some flexibility to write questions around the things that are important for you that you want students to discover. Here's my end of quiz summary. And as I'm doing that, filling out those surveys, I'm actually building an interest profile for myself as the student, capturing the majors that I'm interested in, the individual colleges and universities that I've expressed that I'm very interested in, and the jobs and careers. So for this particular student, who is a student from 5A high school in Florida, health professions and related ranked near the top. Homeland security, law enforcement, firefighting also ranked high in terms of the number of times she saw questions and that she was interested in them. This shows the major, and if you click on the little arrow, it will actually break it out to the specific programs that they were interested in. And this is very useful for the student in the high school in terms of helping them identify where their interests are. Again, colleges and universities, so Stanford was the one that she saw she liked the most often. Queen's University is actually a Canadian institution that's using questions in the United States to get attention from students there. I'm mentioning them here because if you stick around to the end, you will see the data that institutions are generating for themselves. And again, there's a tab for the student to see the jobs that they like. After every 100 questions, the student does a little self-reflection check-in. Here are the colleges you've never heard of. Here are the programs you've never heard of. Here's how you've ranked them. Tell us what your favorite is, and then we move on. And during the first 100 questions, we actually force the system to expose them to the 26 families of majors. So we can help a student map out their interests, because many students, especially in 9th and 10th grade, perhaps don't know what they're interested in or aware of what's really out there beyond the basics, teacher, doctor, lawyer, and so on. When they get to, so after question 100, the quiz then becomes smart, 20% smarter. The first 2 questions of every quiz are now targeted based on the families of majors that the students are interested in. And after 300 questions, it will unlock a recommendation report saying, okay, here are the top 5 program areas that you're interested in. You can run this report for any one of them. And within your state, here are all the places you could go. And if you drill down further, you can see how well it matches for varsity sports that you're interested in, so on. The teacher gets a report to monitor their progress. So students are earning grades to do this in some schools, for example. And so the teacher wants to be able to see how well the students are doing, how much the students have donated, because we can see down near the bottom there, Taryn F has donated $11.45. That's based on the points she's donated. So the teacher has this overview. And the teacher also, for their class, can see which areas the students are interested in, so which programs. Research has been conducted on our activity from the highest authority in Canada, called the Canadian Career Development Foundation. And basically a 91-page report came out last May saying this is a best practice to get students actively exploring college programs. And that research is so relevant, it's being presented around the world, in Vietnam next week at the Asia Pacific Career Development Association, and then in Houston at the National Career Development Association. People want to know, what is the secret sauce for getting a kid motivated to actually look at their programs in a timely fashion? And that stat on the left there tells you that a student that uses ChatterHigh is 65% more likely to know figure out what they want to do after high school. We have a service plan that we sell to school districts in the United States. This has received a lot of positive attention because of the research behind our activity. 2 weeks ago, our first paying school district is Compton, and they've got 450 students on board, and already in the last 2 weeks, that school has explored 12,000 college web pages. Our second deal is with Fredericksburg, a 3-year deal, a small district in Virginia. We now have Palm Beach has now actually approved a pilot, Palm Beach County. Baltimore City has approved a pilot for one of their schools. Broward County, we met with today, are quite interested, and the list is growing fairly quickly. So we're very pleased about what's going to happen here in the future. How you participate is you buy an awareness and data campaign. So basically for 45 cents, your questions, you will write a certain number of questions, and we will help you with that. You can focus on whatever it is you need. Your questions appear in the quiz, and we are guaranteeing you the number of engagements, which means the question gets answered. Some 90% of that will result in a click through to your website. You can have a big box banner on there that will get viewed, and that data, those 4 pieces of data, come back for each one of those questions. So I just threw an example out here of what a $13,000 500 package looks like. Basically, for every $4,500, it's 10,000 engagements. So it's a flexible budget size. And for the partners that have come in, they have told us, like, this is going to not only educate the students, but also give us the intelligence to know how to take the next step. I wanted to give you an example. So the content in our quizzes also will include financial literacy. So I was able to show you a non-competitive client of ours, Thrivent Student Loan Resources. And these are the actual stats for them for this school year. So they have reached over 7,000 students from 174 schools, 47,000 times. The students have got the questions right 60% of the time. They can see the top schools that are participating in grades. They can also then see from the reports that we give them by school and grade how many times the students have engaged with their questions and how well those schools have done. So this is a tremendous level of evidence of how well you're going to be educating students across the United States. And the feedback has been great. Thriven's been with us now for 2 years. They started out with a $3,000 package and immediately renewed to a $12,000 package because this is doing something that they have not been able to do otherwise. I've got about 2 minutes left before I open it up for questions, and I just wanted to speak to the data that is available as part of this. So we have about 20 schools in the Dallas School District that use our site, and of course, and they have visited over 100,000 college web pages from October to February when we produced this graph. The blue bars are the colleges that are in-state, and this is the brand awareness of those brands. The green bars are US colleges that are out of state, and the red bars are Canadian colleges that are using our site as well. And it's very interesting to see that some of these very strange named universities in Canada, like University of Lethbridge, actually have higher brand awareness now than NYU in the schools in Dallas. And University of Lethbridge has been on the site for a couple of years. When we met with the New Jersey City University, they are opening up a performing arts school, and they want to promote that school in the Midwest and Texas. So when I met with them, I showed them the interests in those occupations, in those jobs and programs from students across these schools and grades by gender for Dallas. And I just simply put this slideshow up and I said, here's music, dance, performing arts, recording arts. And just for control, let's look at some other things. Agriculture and farming, computer science, mathematics, cooking. And that was enough to get them very, very excited, because this let them know that not only will they educate in advance, but now, because I think they work with College Board and Incura and so on, they will have the opportunity to focus in on, by zip code, specific marketing campaigns based on the intelligence that we give them. The data can be driven down to the school level, which could be valuable for various reasons, and looking at the different cohorts. I also wanted to showcase, I presented at a conference a few weeks ago with Queen's University, which is one of our big universities in Canada, and they were specifically focusing on the US market. So these slides will be quite relevant for you, and I'll be done in about a minute here. So the first thing they wanted to look at is, okay, they put 15 questions in that started in January to cover the United States. They wanted to look at the web traffic that was generated. So here were the metrics from us. They reached 3,000 students across 100 schools, 14,000 times, 61% correct, 90% of that resulted in a click-through to their website. They can see by cohort and grade and school how well that was done and how correct the students were. And so now when they looked at their traffic, ChatterHigh was almost equal to Google in terms of a source site, and our referrals were blowing everybody away. So 83% of their referrals came from ChatterHigh. The very next one was their mobile ad campaigns through Facebook. And you would expect the user experience to be that they will land on your web page, find the answer to your question, and then leave. But in fact, students were averaging 1.44 pages per session, and not all of them would notionally bounce. It depends on how you set up your bounce tracking. If they land on the web page, read it, find the answer, and leave, you might register that as a bounce. You might expect 100% bounce rate from ChatterHigh, but in fact they don't. Students are clicking through, especially when they find stuff that's interesting for them. So then they looked at the program interest, and they said, okay, well, which are the schools that have the highest degree of interest in pre-vet, health sciences, and registered nursing? We were able to track that for them. And then they could build a campaign that was targeted to the parents and to the students in those zip codes, into those school district areas. And they just created a campaign, do you like dogs? You know, to reach the students, or does your teenager love your pets more than you? So a clever one to try and reach the parents in those target-rich areas where we've educated them and measured that there's a lot of interest in the program. Similarly with the brand reputation, here were the places, the school districts that had high degrees of interest by cohort in Queen's University Faculty of Health Sciences, which will allow them again to make new campaigns that can target the students and to the parents.